Hi, thank you for joining. Sandy Quinonez is a Bridgeport, Connecticut police officer and has spent her life in law enforcement and education. Sandy, thank you so much for joining me with the leadership series.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm honored.
Thank you. So, did you always know you wanted to be in law enforcement, and how did you become a police officer?
So my father was a state trooper for 21 years, and at the age of about 3 or 4, I knew I wanted to be a police officer. But mainly I wanted to be a state trooper, but that didn't happen. The Bridgeport thing came first, and then the state thing came after.
So, being in a male-dominated field, what challenges have you faced?
So there weren't, for me, there weren't really many challenges. And then the only reason why I say that it's because I constantly worked out. I constantly, did, research and stuff. And, I built the rapport with the guys. And then eventually they were able to trust me and help me along the way. There were different things that I ended up getting involved with the police department for many years. And a lot of them were males, and I was the only female. And they helped me as much as they could. We didn't really have any gender issues per se when it came to me. I don't know if they treated me like I'm one of the guys or if I was a little sister. Not sure, but they helped me along the way. There was never any. We were all equal, pretty much.
So, you were one of the first female SWAT team members in Bridgeport too. So, what was the most difficult part of that? Or did you find that everyone was welcoming just like they were with the police force?
So in the beginning, everyone says, "Oh, that's a male position. You're never gonna get it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I tend to shoot a lot. And I at the time I was bodybuilding and getting into competitions and I was strong, so I was able to do the physical challenges of it. Now, the physical challenge or the physical test that you have to take is much um more advanced than taking the entrance exam to get into the police department. It's instead of 50%, it's 60%. Like the run, I'm short, I'm little. So the guys that I was working with were well over 6 feet. So I had to sprint. What was a mile and a half for them was a like run for my life kind of deal. Like I said, it was a sprint. And then when I ran, the guys always would tell me, "Oh, go to the front, run." I'm like, "No, you guys keep stepping on my heel, because I'm so short." So I would always end up in the back. Um, but it was challenging when it came to life, especially when having a child and planning all these events and doing things with the family, and then all of a sudden you have to stop because you have to go. You've got a SWAT call out. Holidays was the same thing. You'd have to go and deal with whatever was behind that door, pretty much. So that was a challenging part of it. And then we would take our tests. We would take a test every 3 to 6 months. The physical test, the shooting, and um, and that sometimes could get hard because they like to change things up just to surprise us. And a lot of it was, climbing over 6 feet walls. And I'm like, how am I gonna get up those walls? Just give me a fence. I could climb the fence. Don't give me a wall.
So, you said that you found one of the biggest challenges to be the family and work balance. How did you come at that issue? How did you solve that?
I'm still learning. 24 years later, I'm still trying to learn this. Actually, in the beginning, I said yes to a lot of things. Well, SWAT call outs, you had no choice. You just had to go. And unless you were going on vacation, that was the only excuse you had, or you were sick. But a lot of it had, thank God for smartphones, I'm able to put my schedule on there. And at one point in time, I was on boards, on all sorts of boards and all sorts of appearances, and it just got so overwhelming that finally I just said, no, no, I can't make it, or I can't do this. My family's more important. And then as my son started getting older, and then I started thinking about the times when my father was a state trooper and he was a single dad. Um, it was he was hardly ever home. So I always said I can't do that to my son. And now my son is, he's gonna be 14 and he's I just want to be there at all times now. So now it's like it's think about the family, think about my son, no longer think about work or think about myself.
Well, I know that you're multi-talented and also an incredible singer.
Thank you.
You've used your talent to sing the national anthem all over. So, what's it like to have a passion outside of your career?
Um, so one thing I always told my recruits, my police recruits, I've always said to them, don't let the job define you. Look for other avenues, look for other passions, because usually, this job will not always be here, whether you retire or whether you're disciplined and then they let you go. Always fall back on something. So with that being said, I've been singing since I was little. Probably since I was 5 or 6 years old. So that's my outlet. That's like my time to relax kind of thing for me. It's a nice distraction away from the chaotic world of policing. So that's the only thing that I enjoy, as well as musical theater.
So, you said that you do stuff, obviously you do stuff outside of being part of the police force, and I know that you've done a lot of work with charitable organizations and working with students in DARE. Are there any specific volunteer work that you've done that really stand out to you?
Um, let's see. So I have this female empowerment group, um, which is in Bridgeport, and it started off in Norwalk, and I had to go do an appearance at that location, and it's called Wild Trap. It's a long acronym. It's a long word. I can't even remember what it is. Um, but it's so that's one of my volunteer works is with the girls. So the girls range from 13 to 21. I also did the Police Explorers in Bridgeport, and I was on the board for the the state Explorer program for a long time. Finally, I said, no, I don't want this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I have my own kid at home. Um, but a lot the Wild Trap one is I love that one because I again it's empowering girls to be whatever they want. We teach them everything. We teach them from etiquette down to we take them to colleges and we teach them how to cook, and we have people come down and talk to them, whether it's a female captain or fire fire captain for the fire department, authors. We have everyone coming down to speak to these girls. My other thing that I love doing, and I'm also on that board, is for oh my goodness, Make a Wish. So I've been on Make a Wish. I've been doing that since 2017, but finally got on their board about 2 years ago. It's a community champion board. That one I love to do because I love taking these kids, shopping and when we're gonna give them their trip, I make a big deal out of it. So I have this huge parade going to their house, and we have them going to the house with city trucks and fire department, and I make a big deal out of it, and especially if they're going to Disney, I get all the Disney stuff I can find.
So, how do other officers react to the fact that you do local musical theater? Are they supportive of it or do they have mixed opinions?
Actually, believe it or not, a lot of people didn't know until recently. They're like, wait a minute, we didn't know you did musical theater. Why don't you tell anybody? I'm like, because I don't want you guys there, because I know you're gonna heckle me. Um, but a couple of people have gone and they loved the show, and they were like, we didn't realize that you can perform like that. And I'm like, yeah, been doing it since I was little.
So, what advice do you have for any women who are interested in law enforcement?
So, so my advice for any woman, young lady that would like to join the police department, um, definitely train. Um, you know, look at current events, current situations that's happening in the world, pretty much, and make sure that that's the job that you want for the next 25 years. Um, the a lot of it is making sure that you're training, you're up on your laws for that year, making sure that you're mentally prepared for it. A lot of people think um that if you were to get mental health that makes you weak. It doesn't. It actually makes you stronger. um but for women or young ladies, I always say make sure this is the job that you want. And if you plan on having a family, you got to factor that in too. It's not as easy. Don't come into the job just to get a paycheck and to get a that insurance. Make sure that you're doing it for the right reason, that you want to help people, and that you want to try to, so cliche, but try to better the world pretty much. But you know that you have the heart for it. If you don't have the heart for it, it's a long 25, 30 years. A lot of police departments are going to 30 years. It's a long, long time to be in a job that you do not like.
So you said that you have to be mentally prepared to go into this field. Do you ever get scared when you're in high intense situations?
Absolutely. If anyone ever said that they're not scared, then they're lying. Um, Absolutely. So, and the reason why I say that, because you have family, you have a child at home. You always put on that vest. You never know if you're coming home. You give a kiss to your spouse and a kiss to your child or your children, and you never know that what if. You know, you never know when you knock on that door if somebody's gonna come out and shoot you, or somebody's gonna stab you, like what happened a couple months ago to my friend. You don't know these things, and that's something that you have to really prepare for. Like, are you prepared? Are you prepared to die for that badge, or for that person, or are you prepared to get injured and potentially be out of the job for a long time? Those are things that people have to prepare for mentally. Um, and then once you deal with traumatic events, then that's time when you have to go see somebody, seek that help. Because let me tell you, the law enforcement and as well as first responders, the traumatic events that we see every day will consume your life. And by what I mean by consume is you end up seeing it in your sleep, you end up hearing it, and smells start coming back. And that's why I always tell people that they have to get the help that they need. And I'm a big proponent for it because I am a state peer support counselor for military veterans, first responders, and their families. So I'm like constantly on my guys and my girls, making sure that, hey, you good? I know that you went to that call and it was a little crazy out there. Are you good? And then they're like, yep. Or sometimes they just call me in the middle of the night. They need to talk, or they need to vent, or they need a little bit more mental health.
So there's a lot of situations where it seems like it's a lot of pressure and it's traumatic. Do you have any like your most rewarding moments working in law enforcement?
Um, Let me see. My most rewarding moment was this emotionally disturbed person that I went to the house, um, and he had a knife and he wanted to hurt himself. And but it wasn't even my call. But then after I got involved, then I owned it. So I ended up going into the house as backup. And with my training, the officer that had the call really didn't know what to do. So at that point I had to, like, okay, let's redirect this. Let me take over, and then you just watch my back, and I'm going to deal with him. After a good 30 minutes, um, the guy, after talking to him and constantly, and like, okay, drop the knife, Let's just talk. It's going to be you and me. At that point, I had to get the guy out and the medics out because it was getting annoying with them over my, over me and, trying to get at the guy. I said, just go. And then finally, after they left and after we had this conversation, and after I assured him that I would take him, I would follow him to the hospital. Um, he felt comfortable enough to drop the knife and come with me and get him into the bus. And we sent them to the hospital to get evaluation. And then he's like, no one's ever did that for me or done that for me, and I appreciate it. And at that point, I was like, thank God that thing happened. We didn't have to take a life, or he didn't have to take, it was a lot. It was a lot for like 30 to 40 minutes dealing with that, not knowing, you know.
Yeah, well, that must have felt really good for you.
It did. It did. I mean, after a while, I kind of like the adrenaline dump just, that was it. And it's like, you thought about it, you're like, oh my goodness, like something could have happened. And one of the guys could have, hit him with the taser, shot him. Um, so those are things that I started thinking about, and I'm like, oh my God, he could have stabbed me. And then you start thinking, and then I'm like, but no, but he's in a hospital, so we're good.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining and for talking with us. I'm so
Well,
appreciative.
you're welcome anytime.